I'm Trio. Welcome to You've Got This, Sis. I believe there are times we need a sis to see us for who we are, where we are, exactly how we are, and then see all that we can be. The sis that can do that with each of us is a real treasure. I've had my moments, sis. I realize that our connections to one another are absolutely gold. I know there are times that we journey solo, and there are times we journey with others. Both are completely necessary for our growth and increased strength as women. You are here with me, and I am here with you. And we will journey wherever you are now to your best self, always. Welcome to You've Got This, Sis. We are officially 9 days until Christmas, so what a fun time it is. We got our first snow this past week, and I have to say that I feel like I'm not alone in this, but that many of us might be struggling to really pinpoint and find like the commonality that we felt before, or like the spirit of Christmas, the magic of the holidays. It just seems different this year, and I'm not exactly sure why that is for me. I at first was blaming it a little bit on the pandemic because it just seems to have, messed with our whole normalcy in life. But then I was thinking about things, and I'm like, you know what? I have 4 kids, and for several of these years, they've all been little, but the kids are growing up, and so I'm not sure if things are changing for me because they're growing up some, and things are just changing a little bit in our realm, or if it has to do a little bit more with COVID and the pandemic going on. So again, I'm sure I'm not alone in this feeling, but I don't know exactly where to pinpoint it. Maybe you guys can kind of fill me in on how you're doing and let me know how it is for you. If you're feeling similarly, or if you're totally there with your holiday and everything is like right on. I must say I'm missing mingling. I am missing being able to meet with people and like the holiday parties. I'm not a huge party person. I'm more of a one-on-one person and enjoy that one-on-one time. But I do enjoy being able to see people mingling together, talking, sharing in festivities, and just laughing and smiling and being together. And so I found that that's something I missed this year. Being able to be in that moment with others and really feel of people's energy and light. And I think that that's a big part of the feeling of Christmas as well, is being able to share in those moments. And that's not happening, of course, this year. And so that's a really big piece of the holiday that was probably somewhat typical for many of us. Just being able to get together in those ways, like the white elephant gift exchange. There are so many different things that people do around this time that just it's not happening so much anymore. And I love virtual, glad it's there. It's a nice substitute, but it's just not the real thing. And so we're trying, right? We're trying to do virtual stuff. Lovely. I'm about done with virtual. It's great that we can all function that way. I'm really grateful for it in that way. But virtual is just not personal at the same time, So anyway, on to this week's topic. I want to share with you a little bit about how I get into, for me, the holiday spirit, and it's not necessarily focused on a religious thing. It's kind of things that I do to help me kind of open my mind and my heart to be able to feel different things and celebrate those things that make the magic of the season. And I think that that's, that magic is different for everybody. And it doesn't really, I don't think it pertains to any certain belief system. I think that people can feel magic, whatever belief system we have. But for me, what really helps me are songs, stories, and being with people that I love. And so I shared yesterday on Instagram and on Facebook. I shared one of my favorite songs for the season with you. It's called Real, and it's by a group named Mercy River. And I love the song Real because it talks about how each of the people, they have become kind of symbols to us. But they talk about in the song how behind those symbols, behind those statues, they're real people with a real story. And I love that because it just reminded me that, yes, those stories, those people from where we are today, generation and generation and generation before, there were many, many, many real people with many, many, many miracles and many struggles and many things that they all had to overcome. And, everybody, this is what I love about each of us, is that we are all so amazing and that we all have such cool stories. I didn't say they're easy stories because oftentimes, what makes a story really interesting is, it's the antagonist and the protagonist and the tension and, those things that didn't go so well. That is what makes this story interesting, is when there's all of those different elements. And so our life is going to be that way. We're going to have so many different elements in our life. And by the time that we're ready to share those stories with our generations that are past or coming, we will have elements that make those stories just ones that are special, ones that have evidences of like miracles and stories that are of people who are of great fortitude, who have found strength in who they are. And, that's us, guys. Like, we are writing our stories every single day. And I have just found a great appreciation for that as I've gotten older. And maybe that's because my parents, when we would go on trips when I was a young girl, my dad would always want to go stop if we were close in proximity to an old Army veteran that he knew, or a buddy from the Army. He would be like, let's go see him. And so I would be young, like 7 or 8, and we would spend more than an hour visiting with these. To me, they were strangers, and he loved it. And so I think that as I've grown, I've just gained an appreciation for each and everybody's story and the things that make each person very really what's at their core of who they are. It's amazing, and I can't say that enough. So music, like I said, is a huge part of helping me feel the magic of the holidays, the magic of the season, whatever time of year it is. I lean very heavily on music. I also lean very heavily on books, on stories. Every year before Christmas, sometimes we would sit on Christmas Eve and be in front of the tree, and we would read front to back cover of the Christmas box. I'm grateful for this because it's become a tradition that we have continued on with our boys, with our family. And it's not a very long book. It's rather short, less than 100 pages. And Richard Paul Evans is such an incredible writer because he gives you just nuggets of the characters, like nuggets of who they are. And he leaves you wanting to know more about these individuals. And the Christmas box is written in such a way that you find out why this box is so important. And by the end of the story, you have a new perspective on the season, on the things that are near and dear to your life and the ones that you love. And that's what I appreciate, is the perspective and the simplicity of the book, and the reminder that it has for all of us to really focus again on those things that are at the heart of our life and that really hold the most value for each of us. So books that I'm going to recommend to you, quick reads, fun to read, gets you a little bit emotional, but doesn't require a whole lot of focus because I ain't got no time for that with 4 kids and trying to get everything ready. Like, I've got to just be able to enjoy the read and not have it be like Les Mis long. So some of my authors that I enjoy around this time of year and sometimes throughout the whole year, Debbie McComber. She's a romance writer, pretty clean, which is what I like about her. And I always know that any book I pick up of hers, I'm pretty much going to enjoy. The next author is Anita Stansfield. She won my heart years ago when my grandmother gave me her books to read, and I have reread them and reread them and reread them. And I love the Gable series, and there's some Christmas ones that go with that as well. That are some of my favorite. Also Richard Paul Evans. He, on one of the books, it says he's the king of Christmas fiction. And you guys, he's good. He's so good. I finished a book of his last night that I just started like 2 days ago and loved it, had me in tears. My husband was asleep next to me and I just was in my own head, in my own space, feeling the characters' emotions and the tension and the happiness, and I just cried, and it was great. Cathartic is what it was. So definitely recommend his books. There is the Christmas Box series. Those are great. I've read all of them. There's also the Mistletoe series. Super fun. I just read the first of that series, finished it last night. But there are these stories that are just small and simple and have great messages in them. And it's what I need to be able to escape. I'm not escaping, but to become part of somebody else's reality for just a little bit, because I know what mine's like. And sometimes I need to experience somebody else's hard to also be able to experience their wins, even if it's just a fictional story. Somebody out there probably can relate. The story is probably based off of multiple people's lives that have been combined together that the authors have written about. I'm fairly certain that the stories in some shape or form can relate to somebody out there in real life. And so it just helps me to get into a different reality and to also find more appreciation for the things that I have. And that's really what I'm aiming to do when I am focusing on books and stories and music, is I want to be reminded of the appreciation of the things that I have. And sometimes I need to know of the hard because my life, it has been hard, but every day is not like it's not really hard. Most days are pretty good. And so I'm grateful for that. But I also want to appreciate others, emotions and others wherever they might be. That's important to me. And so that's why I read short stories to my kids around this time of year, because they have a pretty good life. It's not real hard. They don't have to go out and chop wood and bring it in for the wood burning stove. They don't have to go feed animals and do chores or milk the cows. They don't do things that were typically hard or challenging that other generations have done in the past. And so I want to read them stories so that they understand what it's like for other people, whether they're part of our generation now or generations prior. I think it's important to link all of those together for a better understanding of who we are, where we've come from, people that have been out there, that have lived life, and the things that they have discovered and overcome. I think that helps give me strength and fortitude in doing things every day, and in writing and delivering more, depth-related content. So for you guys, I can't read you one of the Richard Paul Evans books. I can't even read you one of the Debbie McComber books or the Nita Stansfield books. But what I can do for you that I feel is really, really, really important is I'm going to read you a few short stories. And whether you're in the car driving to work or coming home, I do hope that this reaches your heart and touches you and that you enjoy it, because sometimes we just need somebody to do something for us. And so this is part of my gift to you, is some stories that I just love. This one is called The Gold Shoes. And of course, it would be, I can't find the author on it. Most of these stories I have the author right under it. But it's The Gold Shoes. I think there was a movie made called The Christmas Shoes. But this is just a very short version of it. And it starts off, it was only 4 days before Christmas. The spirit of the season hadn't yet caught up with me, even though cars packed the parking lot of our local discount store. Inside the store, it was worse. Shopping carts and last-minute shoppers jammed the aisles. Why did I come today? I wondered. My feet ached almost as much as my head. My list contained names of several people who claimed they wanted nothing, but I knew their feelings would be hurt if I didn't buy them anything. Buying for someone who had everything and deploring the high cost of items, I considered gift buying anything but fun. Hurriedly, I filled my shopping cart with the last-minute items and proceeded to the long checkout line. I picked the shortest, but it looked as if it would mean at least a 20-minute wait. In front of me were two small children, a boy of about 5 and a younger girl. The boy wore a ragged coat. Enormously large, tattered tennis shoes jutted far out in front of his much too short jeans. He clutched several crumpled dollar bills in his grimy hands. The girl's clothing resembled her brother's. Her head was a matted mass of curly hair. Reminders of an evening meal showed on her small face. She carried a beautiful pair of shiny gold house slippers. As the Christmas music sounded in the store's stereo system, the girl hummed along, off-key, but happily. When we finally approached the checkout register, the girl carefully placed the shoes on the counter. She treated them as though they were a treasure. The clerk rang up the bill. "That will be $6.09, she said. The boy laid his crumpled dollars on top of the stand while he searched his pockets. He finally came up with $3.12. "I guess we will have to put them back," he said bravely. "We will come back some other time, maybe tomorrow." With that statement, a soft sob broke from the little girl. "But Jesus would have loved these shoes," she cried. "Well, we'll go home and work some more. Don't cry. We'll come back," he said. Quickly, I handed $3 to the cashier. These children had waited in line for a long time, and after all, it was Christmas. Suddenly, a pair of arms came around me, and a small voice said, "Thank you, lady." "What did you mean when you said Jesus would like the shoes?" I asked. The boy answered, "Our mommy is sick and is going to heaven. Daddy says she might go before Christmas to be with Jesus." The girl spoke. My Sunday school teacher said the streets in heaven are shiny gold, just like these shoes. Won't Mommy be beautiful walking on those streets to match these shoes? My eyes flooded as I looked into her tear-streaked face. Yes, I answered. I am sure she will. Silently, I thank God for using these children to remind me of the true spirit of giving. Okay, that's one of my favorites, and I'm going to keep sharing some of my favorites in next week's podcast as well, because I hope that you can feel the heart of that story. And those are the things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for that emotion of taking a minute to breathe, to see others around us, and to appreciate what we have, and having the giving spirit, and being able to help others, and to see those that really need something from us. And it's not always physical or temporal. It sometimes might be an emotional need. It might be a phone call during these times. It can be so many different things, and that's what I love, is that it's the reminder to be in touch and be looking around so that we can recognize what we can give to others. We all have gifts that are innate, gifts that we have. And sometimes those gifts that we have need to be shared with others because they are in need of that gift, that talent that we each have. And that can be listening. It can be talking with somebody. It can be so many things, like I said, but we all have those gifts, and that's such a great thing to be able to share with someone else. So I encourage you it's a great place to be with a little bit of unwinding. It's a whole lot of real, and it's exactly what you need. Go check it out. YGT